at an early age, I was very interested in what I was going to do with my life. And I came from a family of, my father was an immigrant, and he wanted me to be successful in life. And he wanted me to be a doctor, and I studied, got the grades, and yet something in me during that time was telling me that something didn't feel right about doing that. And I was just open-minded, and I was reading, and I just couldn't jump into it. Went to college, went to pre-med and studied pre-med, and I just got interested in other things. I started doing things I would never do. I started studying yoga and martial arts, and there were just things I just wasn't in my wheelhouse. I played a lot of American sports, and this was something completely different. And then I just started reading about things that interested me, like I wanted to learn without having to take notes. That's really what I was interested in when I was taking 21 credits a semester. And I started looking into hypnosis. I wanted to hypnotize myself to be able to learn as much as I possibly could while I was in the classroom, so I could repeat the lecture back by the end of the lecture and not have to study too much and just read a reference before the test and ace the test and do the things I wanted to do, get my black belt, do all the things that I was interested in doing. And so it took me a little bit of time to just kind of understand what hypnosis was. And then I took my college loan without my father knowing it. And I took a lot of that money and went to school on the weekends and the evenings, and really went through 4 really great levels of the study of hypnosis and became a hypnotherapist. And I was just fascinated in having a clinical practice at an early age in a holistic healing center, seeing people heal from all kinds of different health conditions, and somehow the mind was affecting the body. And I saw people change, from alcoholism to smoking, to PTSD, to bulimia, to all kinds of different things. I just saw the power of the mind right there, and I was fascinated with it. At the same time, when I was driving to graduate school, I came across a book that was about a yogi, and the yogi was doing all kinds of crazy things that just I couldn't stop thinking about. And these were mystics, and these were saints in the Himalayas. And that was nothing like I had been brought up, in conventional religion. So I had this kind of interest in the subconscious mind. I went a different route than medicine. It was more holistic. And then I just had this kind of crazy just interest in the Eastern world, which I never really even gave much thought to. And somehow I grew a lot during that time. And then I got run over by a truck in a triathlon after I had graduated chiropractic college, and broke 6 vertebrae in my spine. And I was never supposed to walk again. And I went from a healthy, young 24-year-old kid that was, running a practice and super successful to possibly never walking again. And the surgery for that procedure is called the Harrington rod surgery. And that's, in my case, they would take off all the back parts of my vertebrae from the base of my neck to the base of my spine and screw in these long stainless steel rods to kind of cantilever the compressed vertebrae, the 6 compressed vertebrae, off the spinal cord. So I had bone fragments on my spinal cord, and then I had a neural arch of one vertebrae kind of broken like a pretzel. It snapped and kind of compressed the cord. And so I had 4 opinions, and everybody said surgery. And I said, no, I'm not going to do the surgery. And, I think in 1980s, probably before you guys were born, this was not something you said to surgeons, especially the medical director of a very, very popular hospital in San Diego. And he thought I had a head injury. I mean, they just could not believe I said no. And I just thought, God, everything I read from all these mystics, everything I've seen in hypnosis and all these people, the power of the subconscious mind, the power of the mind, is it possible that my mind can begin to influence my body? And I was laying face down. I wasn't going anywhere. I thought, if I'm going to be paralyzed, I might as well toss the coin, and I'm going to take a risk. And, then that's when you really go from the bleachers to the playing field because it's no longer philosophy. And I didn't know anybody that ever done this before. I couldn't find anything. But what I did find was I was interested in any information that could point the finger that it was possible. That's all I needed. So I read everything I possibly could read to help me remove any doubt and any disbelief that it was possible. And because I wasn't going anywhere, I wasn't doing anything, I wasn't eating, on restaurants, I wasn't training anymore. I couldn't go to my martial arts studio. I couldn't run yoga classes. I couldn't get on my bike. I couldn't do anything. I was basically laying face down. And so I just thought, God, there's got to be a way that I can make contact with this intelligence that gives us life, that keeps our heart beating and digesting our food and running, trillions of functions per second in every cell of my body. And I thought, I don't know how to heal it, but maybe it does. So I just thought I would just kind of give it a template, a design. And when I was satisfied with what I wanted, I would surrender that idea, not to that greater mind, and ask if it could do the healing for me. And it was really difficult to get my mind to do what I wanted to do during that time. I think because when you're in crisis, and was facing, should I sell my practice? I'm never going to walk again. Should I sell my home? And I couldn't get my mind to do what I wanted to do because it was focusing on the worst case scenario all the time. And so it was pretty much a dark night of the soul, but I didn't give up. I spent hours doing it, hours and hours and doing it. If I lost my attention, I'd start from the beginning and I'd start all over again. And then at a certain point, it got easy. And from that point forward, I just started to notice it took me 3 hours to do. I was able to do in 45 minutes. And I knew on some level that what I was doing inside of me in my internal process was starting to produce an outcome outside of me in my body. And the moment I saw that correlation where my pain levels went down and my sensory function started to come back and my motor function started to change, I knew at that moment that somehow that my mind was actually producing an effect on my body, and that's when it changed for me. So, and I just up on my feet in 10 weeks. I was back into my life, and they were supposed to put me in a body cast and this whole thing, and I just made a deal with myself, and that deal was if I ever was able to walk again, I'd spend the rest of my life, studying the mind-body connection and mind over matter, and that's kind of what I've been doing since that point.